84% of independents want voter ID. This is black, white, red, brown. Most of the American people want voter ID. And, he told a tall tale there when he said, if you don't have a passport, like you're basically in big trouble in order to vote.
So let me get this straight, right? The Republicans definitely want voter ID. The independents want voter ID. So who doesn't want voter ID? That only leaves one group of people or one party who doesn't want that. I think we know the answer to that question. And obviously, they're going to try to spin this and say, oh, it creates barriers for eligible voters to actually vote. Why should somebody have to provide a voter ID in order to vote? Well, I mean, that's common sense. You just don't want anybody pulling up to the scene and just voting, right? We want actual American citizens and people who are eligible to vote to actually cast a vote on voting day. This whole idea that people all of a sudden don't have easy access to ID, come on, man. Y'all got to come up with a better argument than that. I mean, if you're going to spew some BS, like at least make the lie believable. But the Democrats genuinely think that their people are stupid. They genuinely think that the people who support them are inept and not capable of getting IDs. Clearly, why wouldn't we want more secure elections, which is what voter ID does? Because if somebody's required to have an ID to prove that they are able to vote or eligible to vote, then that makes a more secure election. Why wouldn't that be a good thing? I wonder why. But again, this, just like many other things, tells you everything you need to know about the Democratic Party and what they're trying to do. Because in my humble opinion, I genuinely think that they are trying to create a one-party state. And their actions with this whole voter ID thing is a perfect example. But hey, go figure.
This is a cast and a Danish production, which is entirely Nordic. It therefore has some lack of diversity, you would say, as also new rules are implied in Hollywood.
What are you on to?
Yeah, sorry, but
From the get-go.
From the get-go, there is some... Okay.
Well, first of all, the film takes place in Denmark in the 1750s.
So you're telling me that a film, the setting of the film is in 1750 in Denmark and has Nordic characters, and that's a problem? It's a problem that a movie filmed in Denmark has Nordic characters. Bro, I'm telling you, man, this woke ideology transcends America. We're not the only people who are suffering from this. These people are so high on their inclusive horse and diversity horse, and this kind of diversity policing is so prevalent that it ignores the basic concept. It ignores the basic context of the movie. A Nordic film having Nordic people in it is absolutely normal. Who else would be in the movie? In the 1750s, who else would be in the movie? Just like an African movie, you're probably going to see an all-African cast. An Asian movie, you're probably going to see an all-Asian cast. Right? A Middle Eastern movie, you're probably going to see a full, Arabic or Middle Eastern cast. So what is the problem? Having certain people from certain cultures in movies that are surrounded or about that culture makes complete sense because it naturally reflects, right, its own setting and people. Why would that be so abnormal? But like I've always said, right, this is a part of the broader woke ideology that a lot of these people are trying to push into the world. And it's not only the US, it's now pressuring non-US countries as well. Now everybody has to abide by the diversity rules. Like if you have an all Nordic or an all Asian or whatever it is, if there's no diversity, it's a problem. But the irony always exists, right? It's funny how non-white movies, right, or white majority countries are increasingly expected to make their stories about anything but white, while no one would demand the same if the roles were reversed. Why shouldn't authenticity matter more than forced representation? It's a Nordic film, filmed in the 1750s in Denmark. Why the hell is it bad for Nordic people to be in the movie? The job is designed for women to fail, yet most of them do it better than us, with more pressure than we could ever imagine. This guy is talking about women being police officers, saying that they are better at being police officers than men are, and that the job is designed for them to fail. I mean, it's not that we can help that the fact that police work is heavily physically demanding, right? Which would mean that sex differences matter, especially in frontline combat and front people being on the front line and responding to certain calls. Because let's just keep it 100, right? Let's just keep it a buck. Let's be honest for 1 second, right? In very violent calls where people are getting shot at, or let's say a domestic violence call where a woman is absolutely getting her ass taken, just, you know what is happening in that house. Most people, I would argue, probably 95% of the American population or around the world would not want to see 5 women pull up to that situation. I'm just being honest. It's probably going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I would probably say that 95% of the population would actually agree with me that you would not want to see, in a violent situation, 5 women pulling up in police uniforms. Most people would feel more confident seeing male officers because they understand and they expect a greater physical force to be exerted when men are there. Like, that's just what it is. Now, if you're talking about support roles, right, investigations, communication, and administrative duties, then yes, we can have, women be present, right? They excel at those things. Because let's be honest, a lot of people do not want women especially to be in situations where they may face, force or potential physical danger, because it's unnecessary. They don't need to be there. And also, I would actually argue as well, I'm pretty sure there are statistics and studies out there to show this, but if a female officer gets into an altercation with a guy, let's say you have a guy who has nothing to lose, he's on the street, he doesn't care about dying, or he has nothing to lose, he has nothing to live for, that female officer is probably more likely to pull her weapon and use deadly force. Well, while as a man, he would probably have more physical restraint. Obviously, if he has to use deadly force, he will neutralize the threat. But I would say that a man would actually have more physical restraint because men normally have the monopoly on force and they understand how quickly things can escalate. This is not a gender issue. This is about safety. This is a safety issue. I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, I think that frontline violent response teams, right, they should prioritize who is best equipped for the job, not necessarily who fits a certain ideology and goes with a certain agenda. But hey, that's just my opinion on it.
Offensive, and you just need to take them down.
It's a British flag. Are you joking? Yeah. We're in Britain, right?
Because I have to look outside my window every day and see these flags. It's just offensive.
What's wrong with this flag?
Everything's wrong with it.
I'm proud to be British. I've got my
I don't care if
up.
you're proud to be British. You need to remember that everyone's a little bit different, and having that up is rude and insulting to people.
How is it rude and insulting?
Because we're in a multicultural world, so it doesn't matter.
Are we in England? Yes or no?
That shouldn't matter.
I just want to say this, right? Do y'all understand how of a no life and just how can you be triggered by a flag, bro? Like, how can you be triggered by somebody having a flag of the country in which they live in and they are a citizen of in their backyard? And notice how she doesn't mention anything about the United States flag in the back. The United States flag is not a problem, but the UK flag is a problem, even though they are in Britain, even though they are in the United Kingdom. You can't make this stuff up. Nowadays, being a patriot, right, is seen as something to be ashamed of, right? But that's the agenda that's being pushed, and that's the ideology that has been accepted by a lot of people, especially a lot of these woke people and these liberals. And, this is bigger than one video, because just like in England and the United Kingdom, right, we are seeing that ideology here. And I would actually argue that it actually started here before it spread across to Britain. But the irony is crazy, right? A British person is offended by another British person flying a British flag in Britain. Yeah. Never thought we'd get to here in society, but hey, here we are. And what a lot of these liberals don't understand, and these people who get so offended by all these hats and shirts and flags, right? They don't understand this one fundamental concept. Just because something offends you doesn't automatically make it wrong. And how is a country even a country if the people who live there are from that country don't even love where they're from? That like, you have to have patriots in a country, or else you're just gonna sell out and commit treason. But that's just crazy, man. This just proves that it's not only happening in America, man. This is happening all across the world. Europe is being taken over by these leftists and liberals and liberal ideologies and all these things, where flying a flag of the country that you're from, that you live in, and that you may or may not have fought for in a war or in the military, put your life on the line for that country, and you just so happen to be grateful to be from that country, and you're proud to be Britain or British, or you're proud to be American, all of a sudden now that offends people. It's the world we live in today.
I see teaching as a very political act. When we are engaging with our students, whether it's on social justice issues or multicultural issues or culturally relevant teaching, I see that as foundational to all learning.
So here you have another teacher publicly admitting to pushing her ideology and beliefs onto children that she's teaching in school. Why a small child is learning about multicultural issues or political issues, I do not know why, right? We're supposed to be learning ABCs. You're supposed to be learning math, right? 2 times 2 is 4. Those are the things that children are supposed to be learning. But no, teaching is a political act. Y'all gotta remember that. Teaching is a political act. And every day I come on the internet and I see videos like these of teachers openly admitting to what they're doing to these students in school. This is literally an advertisement for private school, and even there your kids can still get indoctrinated, but also for homeschooling as well. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, this like from 10 to 15 years from now, homeschooling might actually have to be the way how kids go to school, if you do not want them to get indoctrinated by the system and what these teachers' ideologies are. Because the reality of this is that the teachers' union, really what it is just a political arm that is influencing kids and indoctrinating them in a very, very crazy way, especially at a young age. And I've referenced it many times, but I'm going to say it again. This is how you get a generation of people 10, 15, 20 years down the line who are going to be in these political positions and running the country, because the children are the future. Once they have these ideologies instilled in them at a very young age, there's no getting it out of them once they actually assume a position of power or they get older. Children are being, right now, your kid that went to school today probably was exposed to a very radical idea. There's a good chance. What about life skills, right? What about teaching them how to earn money? What about teaching them how to be financially literate? What about teaching them how to save money? But no, that's not important, which is why, right, the fundamental learning skills like reading and math remain weak as hell, right? You look at all those levels right now, the average American student is not very competent when they graduate high school or even come out of the schooling system. They have no idea as to how the real world actually works. And this is the perfect example of why.